If the typical advice to study at the library or remove distractions to magically make you focus didn't work, then you've come to the right place. Because throughout my undergrad and postgraduate degrees and now at med school, I've met a lot of students with ADHD that found unique ways to study effectively to get the grades they need. So in no particular order, I'll go through around 10 tips to help you do the same. So the first thing that I'm sure you're already aware of is that the problems of ADHD comes in waves. Sometimes you can focus and other times you can't. And part of the problem is not even being aware of when you lose this focus. So what you need to do is use auditory and visual cues to direct your attention. Every 30 minutes or even more often if you need to, set an alarm to go off that notifies you to check up on your thoughts. This is by asking yourself what you learned or just went through in the time before the alarm and direct your attention back to what you need to be doing. If you find yourself not remembering much, make the alarm at a more regular interval, or do the opposite to make it longer by giving yourself more time. What I personally do is use a visual cue where I have a sticky note which reminds me to be present in the moment and bring my attention to what I'm meant to be doing. I keep this at my desk all the time so that as soon as I look away from my screen or book, I notice it, and that brings my attention back. Now for the next point, I said that focus comes and goes in waves, and with these, you get these periods of hyperactivity where you're seeking more stimulation. And you might naturally want to avoid having this, but what you should do is embrace this hyperactivity. And there's certain ways to use this to study better. The first is that during your classes or lectures, or if you're watching videos online, take advantage of the hyperactivity by trying to keep up with what your teacher says by taking notes at the same time. I know it's not the most efficient thing to do because it's an attempt to multitask, but it's better than you losing focus and not remembering anything because you're bored of just listening to your teacher speak. And even though I don't have ADHD, I did this with my friends that do have it. When I used to go to lectures, I tried to keep up with the lecturer and make flashcard questions as quickly as I could. And it works because it feels almost impossible to keep up. But that's what makes it easier for you to do because it makes it like a game and less of you just sitting there in silence for hours. And if you can, watch educational videos because unlike your teachers, videos such as from Khan Academy are made to be engaging. Because on YouTube, videos have to be enjoyable to watch and informative, otherwise they wouldn't get views, whereas your teachers can get away with boring lectures. And for the third point, when you finally are able to focus, you want to maximize this time as much as possible. And again, there's a few ways to do this. The first is to maximize visual learning, because using textbooks is one of the most boring ways to study as it's a bunch of text over and over again. By using colored images, making drawings to slow you down so you spend more time thinking and absorbing the information, and color coding different subjects and topics can all help to keep you engaged. And one of the best ways to do this is by using flashcards, because flashcards can give you small chunks of information so that you don't get overwhelmed, but gives the important information presented in a way that looks good and in manageable amounts. And being able to count how many you got through in your study session is a good way to gamify the process, since you can try to do more in your next study session. And there's free flashcards online for basically any subject, so just Google Anki or Quizlet followed by the topic you're learning, and I'm sure someone's made cards that you can start using from today. And now, one thing I've briefly mentioned already is gamifying the process to make it more enjoyable. But there's a few more ways to do this so that you're better able to focus. The first is something that I do, and I think every med student does, and that's making use of mnemonics. This is a good way to memorize a bunch of things much faster, but to some people, it's also a way to just make learning more fun and interactive. And thinking of ways to group certain tasks together helps to actively engage your mind even more with your tasks, because it adds this extra dimension of stimulation for your brain, so that you're less distracted by other stimulus like your phone. The second thing to do is to have some form of short-term reward with your studying. People with ADHD do have physical changes in their brain, and part of it can affect your reward system, making you more likely to benefit from them, and it can even be used to help you study better. And a simple way to incorporate this is by having a to-do list for the day that you can cross out as you get through tasks. The act of just ticking a box off and seeing the progress you made is a good short-term reward because it visualizes the progress you've made. And it's something I do every day with my tasks because it helps me maintain a good baseline of work. And the third thing is, if you have to read textbooks, speed read to find the main ideas of the pages and summarize them. A good way to do this is to look at the key points of the summary page at the end of a chapter, and then read through the chapter looking for those points and what's around it, making it a game of finding what's relevant. This is good for ADHD because instead of reading in a normal way where you can't anticipate what's important and read word after word, eventually losing attention, you save time skipping things that aren't as important and engage your mind more by already having something to look out for. And after you got through the chapter doing this, practice active recall by trying to remember the points you went through. Now the next point again addresses one of the symptoms or signs of ADHD, study, and that's fidgeting. And I have something like this to an extent because whenever I sit down or even stand, I find it difficult to just stay in the same place. So that means rocking on my chair and constantly moving my legs or using my hands to do pen tricks. But what I found to help me was actually allowing myself to do those things instead of restricting myself. And that's made even more important since we spend a lot of time at our desks. And that's why with my own money, I bought a standing desk and this board just so that I can keep moving without leaving my desk. And for you, this could be getting something that can allow you to stand and study, something you can fidget with, or a chair that's comfortable and doesn't restrict movement. And kindly enough, literally by chance, the sponsor of this video, FlexiSpot, is the same company that I bought the desk from, and they've sent me a good upgrade of a chair compared to my previous one. And look, you spend hours sitting on a chair, so it's important to have a chair that's comfortable so that you don't get problems like back pains or neck strain. And the BS12 Pro chair has all the adjustments you can think of to make sure the chair is personalized to suit your exact needs. Because it doesn't just let you move the chair up or down, you can move the seat backwards and forwards, move the neck support and armrests up and down, and tilt them inwards and outwards, all so that you can sit for hours without any discomfort. And especially good for having some movement when sitting is the ability to rock on the chair and adjust how easy or difficult this is to do. And we all know that sometimes one position might be the most comfortable, but then an hour later another position is. And what helps deal with this common issue is being able to lock the chair into different angles so that you can find your perfect position and stick with it and easily change back to another. Investing into a good desk and a good chair is always worth it for us as students because of how much time we spend using them. And FlexiSpot has a brand day promotion this month in May. So be sure to take advantage of this and check the links in the description for my chair and for the brand day promotion where there's discounts on a lot of their products. And now for the next tip. Even though hiding your phone might help, sometimes we can still get distracted by literally nothing. So something else that works well is instead of removing your distractions, learn to block them by using a constant stimulus. The problem with the distractions is that they come and go in waves, and those irregular changes are what affects your focus, similar to randomly hearing an alarm go off. But having a constant stimulus like playing white noise in the background can help reduce the interference you get from other distractions because you get desensitized to them. And it's why I sometimes have earphones in without any music. It's just to have some noise cancelling so that other noises or even visual things don't bother me as much. And now I have a question. Are you realistic with how much you plan to get done? Most students seem to aim for an unreasonable amount of work in a short space of time, so it's not surprising that you don't manage to do it all. And especially with ADHD where your focus is inconsistent, it's hard to reliably plan for this. So what you should do is manage your expectations. If going through a topic might technically take 2 hours, remind yourself that you have ADHD and you'll need more time. So add on a fixed amount of time on top of that to get a realistic idea of how long you'll take. This could be by adding a buffer period of another hour to get through something. So if something would take someone else 2 hours, give yourself 3 hours. It's a simple thing to do, but it takes off a lot of the mental stress where you beat yourself up for not getting things done in time, which makes things worse. Now the final problem is that studying every day can get tiring, and if you aren't managing your energy effectively, you will burn out. And burnout is a point of no return where it's hard to regain that energy or focus, making it feel impossible to carry on studying, and that can destroy all the effort you put into studying up until now. So in this video here, I talk about how you can study without burning out this exam season. So click the video to learn more.